Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. Hope you're having a great evening. Today I have another video in the character deep dive. And today's character is none other than Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Dr. Hannibal Lecter was a fictional character created by Thomas Harris. He spans the course of 4 books, starting with Red Dragon, and it was published in 1981, Silence of the Lambs, that was published in 1988, followed by Hannibal, which was published in 1999, and then finally by Hannibal Rising, which was published in 2006. I have read all 4 books multiple times. I will definitely give you my ranking towards the end of which books I recommend and what order you should read them in. Of the 4 books, we also got 4 movies and a TV adaptation. The TV adaptation, Hannibal, had 3 seasons, and it was picked up by NBC. It was started in 2013, ran through 2015. Of the 3 seasons, they spanned all 4 books. Hannibal Lecter was played by Mads Mikkelsen, Aaron Thomas, and Gaspard Ulelel. And all 3 of these actors are in various stages of age, which you get to see Hannibal growing up in his various stages, which does span the course of the 4 books. In the movies, we got the first movie, which was kind of a B-rated movie in 1986, where Brian Cox starred as Hannibal Lecter, and the movie's name was called Manhunter. I've never seen it, but I'm interested. The 3 major films, all starring Sir Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, started in 1991 with Silence of the Lambs, co-starred with Jodie Foster as Agent Clarice Starling. And then you had Hannibal in 2001. Julianne Moore played Agent Starling in that film. And then you had Red Dragon in 2002. And you got not only Anthony Hopkins as Lecter, but you got Edward Norton, who played FBI agent Will Graham, as well as Ralph Fiennes, who played Francis as the Tooth Fairy. And so I really enjoyed the movies. Definitely the books are better, but that's pretty cliche. So who is Lecter? His full name is Dr. Hannibal Lecter. He is of Lithuanian descent, and he is very brilliant. He is very cultured. He's very powerful. He is very complex. He is also a cannibal. He lived in France before moving to America. He is aristocratic in his background, and it is definitely shown in both his cultured taste as well as his mannerisms. In Hannibal Rising, it is revealed that in his childhood, his younger sister, Misha, was murdered and eaten by Nazis during World War II, and that had a profound effect of the course of his life, one being shaping what he becomes, both as a psychiatrist and as kind of a crazy person, a sociopath. So Dr. Lecter, though, is not just a serial killer. He definitely is a brilliant psychiatrist. He's also has a very deep understanding of psychology, and he uses that to his advantage, both in manipulating people, being a predator that he is. He also enjoys a lot playing mind games with not only his victims, but also with the police, the FBI, etc. In the books, Hannibal is disfigured. He has an extra finger on one hand. He has 6 fingers actually on one hand, which is known as a condition known as polydactyl. Never heard of it, but it was interesting. Some other cool facts, but beyond being a skilled psychiatrist and criminal, Hannibal Lecter is also classically trained as a chef. He has a very deep roots in art and literature. He's very well versed and known in those affluent hobbies, and so his lifestyle is very cultural. He's very affluent. So another kind of cool fact I found was Harris got the idea for Lecter when he visited a Mexican doctor, and lo and behold, the doctor had been in prison, but yet his attitude, his personality, his intelligence was so profound to Harris that he came up with the idea for Hannibal Lecter. Obviously, if you know, like Lecter doesn't just kill victims, but he also eats them. But he eats them in very a very cultural and very profound way. He elaborately puts together dishes of the body parts, which he likes to showcase his culinary skills with. I thought that was, it's interesting, even though it's gross. When Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of Hannibal Lecter, there was also other actors besides Hopkins that were considered for the role. Gene Hackman and Sean Connery were considerations as well. Another cool fact was Hopkins' performance as Lecter won him a nod as an Academy Award for Best Actor, and it was despite only being on the screen for 16 minutes, which during the whole movie. So that was interesting. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Lecter is also often ranked as one of the great villains in American literature, and the American Film Institute ranked him as the #1 villain on their top 100 movie villain list, surpassing both Norman Bates and Darth Vader. I don't know if I agree with that, but interesting. In terms of excerpts, memorable things, first and foremost, I really liked in Silence of the Lambs the portrayal, the mind games between Starling, the back and forth battle, her as a young FBI agent, him as incarcerated but known as this brilliant cannibalistic psychologist. I thought that was really, really good. It really showcases the character very well. Obviously, there's the famous line during that film where he talks about eating a gentleman's liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. For me, when it comes to memorable moments, I have, and I'm just the jokester I'm a big fan of The Office. Obviously, there is the episode of CPR that Stanley has the heart thing, and they're getting the CPR instruction from the Red Cross. Stanley has an episode, Dwight's all mad about not being the one to lead it, and then he cuts the face off of the dummy and he turns around and does the Dr. Lecter imitation. I thought that to me is the greatest, but that's me. In terms of where you should start reading, obviously most people tend to pick up this one and think, okay, this is the starting point, but really it isn't. In my opinion, of the 4 books, Red Dragon, I think, is the better book, the place to start, in my opinion. The reason I say that is you get Lecter before he's in prison, but you also get more Lecter, even though the book really is revolved around Will Graham in the FBI and Jack, his boss, but then you have this Tooth Fairy character and how Lecter is working with him and well, he's working him too. But you get more Lecter time. Again, going back to Hopkins' nod for an Academy Award, he was only on screen for 16 minutes. In the book, The Silence of the Lambs, really the book revolves around Starling, up-and-coming young FBI agent, and the FBI politics, trying to find Buffalo Bill and these missing girls. Lecter really is kind of an afterthought. You do get some Lecter in the book, don't get me wrong, and it is great, but there's not a lot about him. You get more meat when it comes to Lecter in Red Dragon, in my opinion. Hannibal is okay. Hannibal Rising, I think, is irrelevant. So in terms of my ranking, it's Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Rising. I really don't think Hannibal Rising, unless you're just a diehard into Hannibal Lecter, I think it's then that may be for you. But to me, Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs, that will give you enough of Dr. Lecter probably for your lifetime. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoy these videos, and it was really interesting to get some fictional facts about an iconic character like Dr. Hannibal Lecter. And so I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you have a great evening. Talk to you later.